Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take your stack of sources, break them down, and pull out the key insights just for you. Today, we're actually building on some really interesting chats with Tim Newell. You might know him from the About That Wallet podcast. And we're doing a special look, a deep dive into GreenFi. We want to unpack what it is, why green banking really matters, maybe more than you think, and the surprising power that's kind of hidden in your everyday financial choices. Okay, so let's dig into GreenFi. Their core promise, basically, is banking that's good for you and good for the planet. So think checking, savings, investment accounts, all designed specifically to keep your money out of fossil fuels. That's the main thing. Plus, they stress, no mandatory fees, no greenwashing, and they actually help you save, earn cash back, and plant trees, too.
Right, and I think it's really crucial to understand why this is such a big deal, like on a larger scale, because the numbers are pretty shocking. Traditional banks, just the top 60, have poured over, get this, $5.5 trillion into fossil fuels just since 2016.
Brilliant. Wow.
Trillion, yeah. So what that means for the average person is that maybe up to 30% of the money you just have sitting in a regular bank account, it might be indirectly funding the climate crisis.
30%. Okay. That's a lot higher than I think most people would guess. It's sort of an invisible footprint in your wallet. So thinking about that hidden flow, that invisible impact, what does that mean for you listening right now? I mean, how much power does your choice actually hold here?
It holds immense power, honestly. Switching to green banking, something like GreenFi, can genuinely have a bigger climate impact than buying an EV or, making your home super energy efficient.
Bigger than an EV?
Yeah, potentially. And the kicker is, it costs you nothing to make the switch. Zero. Just try to imagine the collective power, right? If every single household in the U.S. switched, that could prevent funding emissions equivalent to burning like 161 billion gallons of gasoline every year.
Okay, that's not just big. That's genuinely transformative. 161 billion gallons. So if traditional banking has this sort of hidden climate cost baked in, what exactly is GreenFi doing differently? How do they ensure your money works for the planet?
Well, they've got some very specific climate-friendly features built in. First off, they absolutely guarantee none of your deposits will support the fossil fuel industry, period.
That's the baseline.
That's the baseline. But then beyond that, your everyday spending can actually help reforestation efforts. Their customers have planted over 4 million trees already, which sounds like a lot, and it is. It works out to restoring about 2.5 football fields of forest every single day.
Wow. How does that work?
Mostly through programs like their Plant Your Change thing, where they round up your purchases and the difference plants trees.
Yeah.
And for the premium customers, they even do automatic carbon offsets for gas purchases.
So they kind of balance out your emissions from driving.
Exactly. They fund projects that pull greenhouse gases out of the air.
Now, with such a clear, climate focus, you might think GreenFi is just for a tiny, super dedicated niche group. But the market they're going after is actually much broader, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's not niche at all, really. They're targeting, it's about 100 million Americans. That's like 40% of adults who say they're concerned about climate change.
40%, okay.
Yeah, and this cuts across all kinds of demographics. Boomers, Gen Z, income levels, where you live. Doesn't really matter. It's for anyone who's looking for ways to, take meaningful action. And these folks often tend to have maybe slightly higher deposit levels and are pretty comfortable with digital banking.
And the leadership has experience here too, right? Tim Newell's background.
Right, yeah. Tim Newell, the CEO, he comes with deep experience in both fintech and climate tech.
Yeah.
He was involved early on with places like Solar City and Tesla. So there's real substance behind it.
Okay, so it's got the mission, it's got the market, but how does a business like this, that's so impact-driven, actually, work? How does it sustain itself financially?
Yeah, their journey is actually pretty interesting. GreenFi spun out of Aspiration's consumer business. Mm-hmm. And they went through this really radical restructuring. They went from about 400 employees down to just 40, which sounds drastic.
40? That's a huge cut.
Huge. But here's the thing. They managed to keep over 98% of their customers through that process.
Wow.
Which really shows, I think, how powerful that mission alignment is. People stuck with them. It wasn't just about cutting costs. It was about focusing on that core, passionate base. And today, they're operating at a decent scale. Around 150,000 customers, maybe $300 million in deposits and assets they manage, and they process nearly 5 million transactions a month. So it's substantial.
And how do they actually generate revenue with that kind of model, especially the no mandatory fees part?
Good question. They have a few different ways. There's the net interest margin, the difference between what they earn on loans or investments and what they pay on deposits, like any bank. Then there's interchange, those small fees merchants pay when you use your card. They also offer premium subscriptions with extra benefits. And they have this really unique pay what is fair model where customers can actually choose to pay a voluntary fee based on the value they feel they get.
Interesting. Sort of like a tip jar.
Kind of, yeah, but built into the banking model.
Yeah.
And Tim Newell's vision, he said he wants GreenFi to be like the Patagonia for your bank account.
Okay, I like that comparison.
Right. So they're looking to expand into things like credit cards, maybe climate-focused crypto accounts, green lending for EVs or solar panels. And having that really clear niche, that passionate customer group, it actually helps a lot with getting new customers and making money. It really boosts their odds of success. Yeah.
It seems like they're also committed internally, walking the walk.
Exactly. They make a point of being carbon neutral in their own operations too, even though that adds cost. It reinforces that their values aren't just marketing. They're core to how they operate.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then. The big takeaway seems to be that where you choose to bank, it's actually a surprisingly powerful climate action you can take. It's simple, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it can make a really monumental difference, especially collectively.
So maybe the question to leave you with is, what stands out to you about the power your everyday financial decisions hold? Something to think about.
Definitely. And if you liked this deep dive, please do subscribe. Maybe leave us a review. Share it with someone you think might find it interesting. And you can join the About That Wallet newsletter too. The link for that is right there in the show notes. Thanks for joining us.